thought would be a routine move day. You know, everything chilling, laid back. Turned out to be a first, actually. I'm not going to say terrible because a lot worse could happen. But turned out to be a first for us. Not the way I had drawn it up. All right, so let me explain. First of all, good morning. Yeah, it's still morning. Welcome back to another day here in our journey. As you could tell, yesterday we picked up and we left Charleston, South Carolina. And, you know, I mentioned we weren't really in a rush. We, for a couple of things. So the pink elephant in the room, we are on our final trek on the way home, ending a very adventurous and a very involved season 3. So, you know, we're on the way home. Every time we're on the way home, I don't really, I'm not in a rush. I'm not in a rush to get home because all that means is, you know, a couple of months of downtime, and although I get to catch up on some projects and stuff like that, but I'm never really in a good mood when it's time to go home. Having said that, so we left at 10:30 in the morning. We left from Charleston, South Carolina. It was supposed to be a 4-hour, 45-minute ride, or 5 hours, you know, depending on a stop here or there. And we were going to make it with plenty of time. I've never, let me just clarify this one thing. I've never arrived at a campground at night. And that is by design. That is by design. These things, you know, it's hard enough to maneuver around. This is 40 feet. It's hard enough to maneuver around during the daytime. When you add a bunch of variables in there, like very dark campground, tight spaces, people parked and blocking a little bit of the road, it kind of hinders your ability to park these things easily. To add to the problem is, if you have a pull through, no problem. You can just pull right through. What's in front of you is where you're going to traverse. But when you're backing up, you got to deal with falling off the side of the road. You got to deal with trees. You got to deal with street signs. There's a whole bunch of variables that you got to deal with, which is the main reason why I usually plan my travels to not travel at night. So basically, we left at 10:30 in the morning, which would put us here with ample time to do things. But then it started going downhill from there. Leaving Charleston. Now, the area that we were staying in, Charleston, which is close to the beach, there are no direct highways. Okay, you have US 17, which is a small lane highway that leads into Charleston, but that's really it. I mean, that's really it. So there are no major interstates. So getting out of Charleston immediately at 10:30 in the morning, it was a weekday, by the way, immediately we hit bumper to bumper traffic. It added 45 minutes just to get out of Charleston. Then the roads that lead out of Charleston heading towards I-95 obviously are small roads and they go through little towns, but that was all factored in. That was all factored in the GPS. I mean, it takes into account 35 miles an hour, 40 miles an hour, that kind of stuff. But the 45 minutes at the beginning kind of put a damper on it. Then we get to I-95, okay? Now, if you guys remember in the video that I posted about the poker run, the Kaylee poker run, when we came through South Carolina's I-95 is up there. I'm not going to say it's the worst. It's up there with one of the worst stretches of highway. Very bumpy, lots of potholes, lots of construction, lots of stuff that just adds more stress to the trip and more stress to the coach. So as a result of the bad highways, or as a result of, you know, the bumpy roads and stuff like that, I tend to go a little slower because we've had enough issues with the coach, and I've learned that if you go slow, it minimizes the amount of damage. So that added a little bit to it. I haven't factored in the amount of time, but it definitely added to our trip. And then we finally made it to Jacksonville, Florida. Okay. Jacksonville, Florida takes us, I want to say it's 295 that takes us, or 285 that takes us around Jacksonville. That stretch in itself is almost 22 miles or 27 miles that goes around Jacksonville all the way to State Road 9, then to back onto I-95 heading southbound. Now, we're in St. Augustine. We're in St. Augustine. I'll get to a minute. I'll get you the name of the campground that we're in a minute. From Jacksonville to St. Augustine, it's only like 37 miles or 40 miles. It's not that big of a deal. But when we hit Jacksonville and we hit that 295 that goes around, we came to a dead stop. One small 2-car accident, no injuries. We finally got to it after we were stuck in, let me put it this way. We were stuck in Jacksonville for an hour and a half. It was already getting dark when we were still in Jacksonville. We finally made it all the way around 295. I keep saying 295. I hope I'm right. 295 or 285. I don't remember. I'm sure you guys have traversed through there many a times and you guys can figure it out. We finally made it back onto I-95. As soon as we made it onto I-95, bumper to bumper. Bumper to bumper, it was already dark. We only had about 27 miles left to get to the campground, and we were in bumper to bumper traffic, and it was already dark. Yesterday turned out what was supposed to be 4 hours and 45 minutes turned out to almost an 8-hour drive. But, you know, I know that's a little long-winded. I got a little long-winded about the campground and our route. I just wanted to share that with you guys. That was a first. Arriving at a campground at night, hooking up at night, backing up at night. Not something that I look forward to. I always dreaded it, and now I know why. It was pretty interesting. Even though the campground ranger, the guy that was here, was trying to help me, it didn't matter. I kept stopping and getting out of the truck because, you know, like I told him, it's not that I didn't trust him. It's just that I didn't trust him. And that was it. But I got in, nice campsite. I did have to contend with a few trees in the pitch black, but we made it. We made it here. I believe the campground is called Sun. I don't know. I'm gonna put the name here at the bottom of the link. But enough of that. We made it to St. Augustine. We're gonna go out today and do a little bit of exploring. I'm glad that I got to see a fort while we were in Charleston, because I was already told that the fort here in St. Augustine is a no-go. We've already been to it. Kaylee said that she's already seen it. So we're gonna go do some other stuff Myrna has on the agenda for today. If I see anything interesting or I see something cool about St. Augustine, I'll share it with you guys. And I'll give you guys a little bit more information on what we're gonna be doing the rest of the week. So you can't control her, you can only hope to contain her. There's Myrna in her natural habitat doing the tourist thing, Magnolia Avenue in St. Augustine, Florida. I guess the closest we're going to get to the fort here in St. Augustine is right there. That's it. We did do a little bit of St. George Street, which I just brought you a little footage. A lot of people, a lot of shops, real nice. I guess after all, we are going to do a little bit of the Castillo de San Marcos here in St. Augustine. Let's see how far we delve into this fort. Apparently, not far in enough. We never made it inside. Although I will tell you this, $15 per person to enter the Castillo, the fort. But if you have the America the Beautiful pass, it is free or prepaid. Good morning, guys. So I hope you enjoyed the videos that we brought you guys from yesterday. We did downtown St. Augustine in 2 parts. We went it down there during the daytime. Then we left. We came back to bring the dogs. By the time we got back, that place was jam-packed. We couldn't find a parking space, especially for this thing. But we made other arrangements. I dropped off Myrna and Kaylee. They stayed there. So, the nighttime, the Christmas lights, the footage that came from that was a collaboration with my ad hoc photographers, Myrna and Kaylee. They did the best they could, and I appreciate the effort. But I dropped them off and came back to the campground and then picked them up later. But that's it. That's it. Today we're going to jump in the truck and we're going to haul the camper over across the state over to my buddy's house, which you guys have met a bunch of times. We're going to go visit them. Finishing up season 3 is a lot of meeting people along the way, catching up on the way back home, and today's going to be no different. But before that, I wanted to share something with you guys. Hauling these things around, they're fun. We have a great time camping, but problems come up all the time. So somewhere between Charleston, South Carolina, and here, I don't know where, because I know that I saw it in Charleston because I pulled it. Somewhere between there and here, one of the handles, one of the pull rods for my galley tank is missing. It's gone. Here, I'll show you something. So right here in this general area, coming out of that hole back there, is supposed to be a rod that looks like this. That basically pulls out the gate on the galley tank. As you can see, it's gone. So now, don't get me wrong, I already looked it up on Amazon. It's like $17 for the rod. But between now and by the time I get the rod, I gotta do something. I gotta hack it because I gotta dump the galley tank before I get home. So I'm hoping it's just a screw in. I think it's just a screw in rod, because otherwise, why would it rattle loose? You saw there's no damage there. So nothing basically came off the road and ripped the handle off. I think it just rattled loose. So I got to hack something. I got to do something. But of course, it requires involvement. I got to drop the chloroplast, the underbelly, and see how that works out. But when I get to that, I'll share it with you guys. I'll let you guys know exactly what happened. This morning, we're on the move. So let's get at it. All right, so the day continues. I'm here with Mark. My buddy lives over here in northern Florida. And, cheers, we made it. It was a quick drive straight across Florida there, a bunch of county roads. Didn't take any highways. But now I'm going to do something that I've actually been looking forward to. I'm going to help Mark pull some posts, but he's going to teach me how to drive a tractor. Never done that before.
That's the first thing you have to do to
Right,
post.
right. We gotta have a beer before driving a tractor. I don't know. I'll let you guys know how this goes. All right, I'm not sure how this is going to work out. There's a lot of moving parts in here, but we're going to give it a shot. say whatever you want, but I think it's every childhood dream to drive a tractor. And I think my next 30 years, like that song says, is all about fulfilling bucket list items. And as silly as this may sound, driving a tractor is part of, or is one of my bucket list items. I am thoroughly enjoying this. Good morning. It is a foggy day here in northern Florida. Still on our way home. Yesterday, I brought you a little bit of silly footage of me having a grand old time on a tractor. Yes, it was a bucket list. Just to learn how to drive one. I had a great time. And then we went out to dinner with Marc and Jamie, our friends up here, and we had a great time. This whole trip, or this whole leg on the way home, is going to be about meeting up with friends and family and having a good time. From here, I told you guys I was going to let you guys know what was next. When we're done here, we're going to go spend a few days in Orlando with my son, and then after that, we're home. And that should be the end of season 3. Somewhere along the line, I will give you guys a summary of season 3, of what I thought about it and how it went. And that's about it. But before we finish off today, I'm going to bring you guys a little bit of information about that broken galley tank. And basically yesterday, I dropped only 3 or 4 screws from the chloroplast. I was able to fit a flashlight in there, and luckily it is a screw-in rod. Okay, it screws in, which basically tells me that it just rattled on loose. So there's a hardware store right up the street here that I've been to before with Mark, and it has a section for RVs. We're going to go there this morning and see if by chance I get lucky. If not, an easy hack is an all thread, just piece of screw, an all thread, about 12, 24 inches long. Screw it right in, and I'll be able to work that gate. And either I could just leave it like that, Loctite it in and leave it like that, or order the new piece. It doesn't matter. Simple fix. I won't waste you guys' time with it. But for those of you guys wondering, it screws in. That's it. If we do something later on today, I'll share it with you guys. If not, from here on to Orlando. Good morning, everybody. So we made it to Orlando. That's where we're at right now. We are at Sherwood Forest, which happens to be a Thousand Trails park and an Encore park. We are not Thousand Trails members, but we've stayed here in the past. Pretty expensive. We have an elite site. I think it's $120 something a night. It's up there, but small price to pay. We stopped here to visit my son and his wife. I think we're going to be doing, dinner tonight with the entire family. So that should be pretty fun. And that's it. Tomorrow we arrive back at home for the end of season number 3. It's a little bittersweet. I really don't like the off season, but if we don't have an off season, then we don't have a new season. So I'll get home, I'll catch up on a few chores, and I'll give you guys a summary of season 3 and what's to come for season 4.